Hi, my name is Brittany Jones, and I will be discussing Chapter 11, which is writing negative messages. Having to communicate negative information is a fact for all business professionals, whether it's having to say no to a request, sharing unpleasant or unwelcome information, or having to issue a public apology. There are 5 goals to keep in mind when communicating a negative message. Convey the bad news, gain acceptance of the bad news, maintain goodwill with your audience, keep a good image for your company. If it's appropriate, reduce or even eliminate any need for future correspondence. There's a 3-step writing process for negative messages. The first step is actually planning the message. Second step is writing the negative message, and the third step is completing the negative message. Step 1, planning a negative message. Define the objective of the message and gather all the information that you will need. Select the appropriate way to deliver the message, whether it will be in person or through email. Define your main idea and then organize your message, whether it's a direct or indirect approach. Direct approach, it opens the message up with bad news, and the indirect approach opens the message with reasons for the news before it's brought up. 4 questions to ask yourself to help you decide which approach is best. Do you need to get the reader's attention immediately? Does the recipient prefer direct style of communication? How important is the news to the reader? And will the bad news come as a shock? Step 2, writing a negative message. By writing clearly and with compassion, it will help the audience to actually handle the news better. And if your audience is not aware of your credibility, be sure to clarify all your qualifications so they cannot question your authority. Revise your message and make sure it's clear and brief. Produce a clean professional document that has been proofread and has no mistakes. Deliver your message on time. If not, it can be looked at as unethical or even illegal. And how to use a direct approach for negative messages. You're going to open with a clear statement of the bad news, stay calm and professional, and just state the news. Provide reasons and any additional information. Relying on how your relationship is with the audience will determine exactly what details you will give. Close on a respectful note. You want to end the message with respect for the impact the news the reader is about to hear. How to use the indirect approach for negative messages. Always open with a buffer, an unbiased statement that will create some common ground with the audience. Provide reasons and any additional information. This is when you build up your reasons and material that will end with the negative news. Never hide behind the company policy when delivering the bad news. Present rational answers instead. Continue with a clear statement of the bad news. 3 steps to deliver the message in a kind and clear way. De-emphasize the bad news. If it's appropriate, use a conditional statement. Emphasize what you did do and not what you did not do. And also end on a respectful note. You show the audience respect and send best wishes without ending on a bad note. 4 guidelines to follow when concluding your message. Avoid an undefined conclusion. Talk about future communication. Express positivity and stay sincere. Sending negative announcements for routine business. For most announcements, you should use the indirect approach because the news is not expected. If the announcement was unsolicited from an external source, there is really no need to respond because there's no relationship there. When you have to decline a proposal or invite, be respectful and thoughtful as possible, and always keep in mind the relationship you have with the person. When creating a negative message, there are 4 things to keep in mind. Time management. If a decision has been made, do not state things that will delay saying no. Give ideas to them if you have a relationship with the individual. And don't say or give information that you know is not true or you will not be able to offer it. Having to deal with negative transactions. 3 goals to use when handling unsolicited transactions. Adjust the customer's expectations. Tell them how you will handle the situation. Let them know what exactly you're going to do. Repair any damage that could have affected the business relationship. Some companies will offer discounts or even give free merchandise to help repair any damage. And if you are not able to meet the expectations of the customer, be sure to offer an apology to them. Refusing claims or requests for adjustments. The indirect approach is the best to use for customers making claims. You need to try to avoid responsibility for the situation, but do not blame the customer. The tone of your letter is very important. Let them know that you understand, and then politely decline their request. You can always offer other alternatives as well. Some customers will not be happy with your response and will take it to the next level. To avoid being accused of defamation, remember, avoid abusive language. Always state the facts, never lie. Control your emotions when writing the response. Consult your lawyers if you feel the matter might become a legal issue. And highlight a desire for a good relationship in the future. Communicating negative messages under normal circumstances. Businesses often have to send negative messages regarding work deals or responding to a public issue. Most of these situations are handled on a case-to-case basis. And here are some guidelines that you can follow. Use the right approach for each situation. Each person has unique needs. Allow the audience to react to whatever the news is. Allow yourself time to plan for a response. Stay positive, but state the facts. And if you are unsure, talk to an expert. Responding to negative information through social media. Customers who feel they have been wronged by the company like to use social media to let the world know. You must handle these situations delicately. There are 4 steps to follow when responding to a negative message on social media. Engage early and frequently. Monitor the conversation. Review all negative messages and respond properly to every message. How to communicate in a crisis. Crisis situations like crime or scandals, hostage situations, and even terrorist attacks are dangerous times, and everyone wants to know what is happening. Having a crisis management plan for each situation that can occur is very important. The plan should include what each person is responsible for, how and what to relay to the media, and all necessary contact information. You will never know when a catastrophe can happen, so you must always be prepared for them. Sending negative employee messages. Sending refusals to employers requesting information about a past employee. Make sure you're direct and brief in your response, and always end on a positive note. Refusing an employee's request for recommendation can seem rude to some, so use the indirect approach since the person is not expecting that answer. Avoid hurting their feelings and suggest alternatives. Responding to requests via social media are more flexible. You can ignore or even delete the request. If you do not want to respond, stating a few sentences is sufficient. You can also have a policy where you don't respond to any such request. The option is yours. Rejecting job applications. Application rejections need to be written with caution. If they are not, it can tarnish your business reputation or can cause legal problems. Employment discrimination lawsuits have become more common in these recent years. Here are some guidelines to keep in mind when writing your rejection letters. Personalize the message using the recipient's name. Open with a courteous statement. Express the negative news in a polite way. Avoid saying why the applicant was rejected or why others were chosen. Do not say you will review the application at a later time, and close on a positive note. Negative performance reviews. Performance reviews clarify job requirements and let employees know a plan to improve their performance in the future. Writing negative evaluations need to be clear so the employee does not misinterpret anything. Here are a few points to keep in mind. Document any performance issues. Evaluate employees on a regular basis. Stay calm and professional. Focus on all opportunities for improvement, and keep the job descriptions up to date. Terminating employees. When terminating an employee, always receive input from your legal team. Follow company policy and avoid any personal attacks. Always have somebody review the letter before issuing it. If possible, deliver the message in person. Unexpected termination is never good, so pay close attention to your tone of the message so there are no misunderstandings that can result in expensive legal issues. The last is the question. Have you ever had to send a negative business message? If so, what approach did you use and how did you handle the situation? Thank you very much.